There we go.
That's
And
right.
again, you know what? People call these interviews. These aren't interviews. It's just me bullshitting with a new friend over the fence in the backyard.
Exactly.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I've watched so many of your videos that I feel like I'm talking to an old friend here.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that way, isn't it? It's funny. I have people come up to us in the public all the time, like they just come up to you like they've known you forever, but it's kind of freaky at first, right?
Yeah. At first it is, yeah. Then you're probably really used to it. I'm not, but I'm good with it.
Yeah, yeah, mixed feelings on it. I mean, I don't mind being friendly with people, but like Sarah and I were in the Starbucks the other day. We took a break. We have our little coffee break outing from the property, working our butts off here, and there's a big lineup. And we got in the lineup, and the guy right at the counter turns around, and every table is taken. He's got a loud voice, and he goes, "You're the how to hunt guy!" at the top of his lungs, and everybody in the place goes like this. And
They
me and
didn't
Sarah,
swarm. They didn't swarm you and want to talk to you, get your autograph.
no, but I just kind of went like this. I went like this. I went like that. And I went, so is a public announcement or something? And the guy got all purple in the face, and he apologized after, and blah blah blah. But
He
yeah,
was
I'm not.
happy to see you, probably.
Yeah, I'm just, if you've listened to me long enough, I'm not into that celebrity shit. I don't need to be recognized anywhere. You know what I mean? Where
Yep.
otherwise, there's a lot of people that do, and they're kind of creepy. But whatever, is what it is. Goes with the turf. I like people.
Yeah, I'm with you. I could be in the background and be just fine.
Yeah. So, where are you?
I'm in Utah. I live in Cedar Hills, Utah. It's in the
Okay.
north end of Utah Valley. And right now I'm sitting in my shop. I have a business down in Linden, and I'm sitting in my office because it's a quiet place. Everybody went home. Well, there's guys working downstairs, but it's quiet up here,
Right
upstairs.
on. What do you do?
I own a manufacturing business, and I started it about 13 years ago. It's called Stealth Gear USA. We make concealed carry gear, like
Oh,
holster,
exciting.
Mac carriers, and we just opened a new line of products, an outdoor line. It's kind of stuff up your alley, probably. It's hunting and fishing packs, chest packs, uh, modular gear that go with those packs. So highly lined up with fly fishing. So
Well,
that's one of my best, biggest hobbies is fly fishing, and we just decided to do that and bolster our sales with the tactical market a little bit with outdoor gear. So
cool.
yeah,
Well, you're gonna have to talk to Sarah later on and see if she wants to get on some of that.
yeah, sure,
Yeah, we got a
can
bit of
do.
a reach. Yeah. So, I was just looking at your email you sent me a long time before, and there was attachment on it.
Yes, and you were sitting on a log up in the mountains somewhere, and you didn't have enough bars to open that thing. And then you said you'd look at it later. I think I don't know if you ever did or not, but I could talk about it today
Well,
if
I
you need
must have. If I
to.
must have, if I put you down as look into,
Okay, yeah,
you're just gonna
did
have
it?
to. Well, we're just gonna talk about it anyway and let the people know what's up.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
you're into fly fishing. You into hunting?
yeah. I was raised on a farm, had an early interest in archery, and kind of like you, I think I had an uncle that went to college and he made some arrows in an archery class at college, and I bummed some of those arrows off of him that he brought home, and I made a bow out of plum wood, my first bow, and went out and shot it. And then I begged my dad to buy me a better bow, so we went to I think it was like Kmart or somewhere and bought a pretty nice bow. It's a wood bow, 60-inch recurve, and I was like tearing the place up with that bow. I hunted jackrabbits out on our farm. I lived on farm, and I figured out a system to do like a spot and stalk thing with those jackrabbits. And I was death to those things. I could get a lot of them, and I figured it out pretty well. So that got me
Really?
more interested, and then I went for deer after that. Got a better bow, ended up getting a compound bow, and then hunted 1 year in California where I used to live. That's where I did all this on the farm. And then we moved to Utah, and I did a couple of hunts, 2 or 3 hunts for deer, for mule deer, and was successful. I think I got like 3 deer, and did some elk hunting also with the bow. I never did get one though, but that was pretty much it. And then it's kind of just shifted over to fly fishing since then.
Right on. How
Yeah.
about that? How about that transition from the recurve to the compound?
Oh man, it's like you're shooting instinctive at trying to hit something just on pointing it at the animal. This way, you put the little bead on there and let go, and man, it's deadly.
Right,
It's like,
right.
and nowadays even more with the releases and stuff, the hand, finger releases. I did a little turkey hunting the last couple of years here in Utah, but they ended up just being a really nice hike in the woods. I never did even have a shot. It's really hard out here in the West. It's hard to find those, but maybe it's just me. I just don't know where to look.
Yeah, yeah. I grew up in that recurve myself. Taught myself how to hunt with it. Did the same thing. Start off in rabbits, and you know as
Uh-huh.
well as I do, it's not easy. It's probably I almost think all brand new bow hunters should get a recurve, and they got to go shoot half a dozen rabbits first,
Yeah,
mandatory, just to learn, right? But anyway,
right.
but like you said, like you see these guys on social media swinging their dicks with their bows and taking videos themselves shooting their compounds. The
Yeah,
reality is, like as well as I do with that recurve, you have to shoot it all the time, no matter what.
yeah. You just
You
like
have to.
it's like shooting a basketball. You know how to throw it so that it goes in the hoop. Same with
Yeah,
the bow. You got to know where to hold that thing and just where that arrow's going to go.
yeah.
And
And
it's
then
you can't hardly teach that. You just have to
yeah,
do it. And but
yeah.
yeah,
How do you know how far to throw a rock, right? That's how you try to
yep.
explain it.
Same
But
thing.
then what I try to tell people now is I go, hey man, I don't start shooting my bow until like a month before hunting season. It's just like a rifle. It's got a front and side, a rear sight, and a trigger. Shoots
Yeah,
flat as frickin'.
it's it's almost cheating. And my old bow, even my compound bow is old too, and I like it because I can shoot it well. But I shoot next to my friends, and they have these new bows, and their arrows are like zipping across there like a jet rocket, and mine's just going,
Right?
and it works, but I haven't upgraded. So
Yeah, it's
anyway,
funny. I was in the same bucket. I had an old PSE X Force. It's the first X Force apparently. Before it hit the shelf, I guided this TV show for them. They gave me a bow. Got a Rocket Moose.
uh,
They
oh
gave me
yeah,
the bow. I'm like, I don't give a shit. The thing shoots arrows, right? And then next
yeah.
thing you know, people are seeing me going, "Oh wow, that's an old bow," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" But the young guys, they're all into. They're like vehicles. They got to get the new bow this year. I get a new
Oh, I
bow every
know.
year.
I haven't done that, and I walked into the archery shop to do some stuff on the bow, and the young guys behind the counter are looking at that bow. They're going, "Wow, what epic did you come from?" And I go, "Hey, don't laugh. It works for me."
Right? Yeah. Then if they really want to push it, well, you want to come in the man cave for a minute? Whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when did you get? What got you interested in this topic?
Okay, so this is something I didn't ask for. You hear that a lot, right? I didn't ask
Nobody
for this at
does.
all, but back in the day when I was in high school in California, I was probably a junior or a sophomore in high school, like 15 or 16 years old. And I had kind of a little tradition for myself that I used to go down to the river where I fished a lot. It's called the Kings River. And my dad leased a farm down on the Kings River. We called it the Kingsview Hospital Farm. That's what it's called because there was a hospital up on the upper banks of this place. But we had plum orchards and vineyard down there. My dad was a farmer, and that was the field I was raised in, is agriculture. So I go down to this river. The Kings River comes out of Kings Canyon National Park. Have you heard of that? And it's a big river. It comes out of and goes into Pine Flat Dam up in the foothills, and then runs down into the valley where I lived. And it runs about. It's a pretty wide river. In some places in the summer when it's full, I'd say 50 yards across. And I would go down to this spot that I always liked where there was a tributary that came off of that river and formed an island. And then it came back to the main river. So where it came back to the river, it formed that island, a long, skinny island, probably like 600 yards long and maybe 100, 150 yards wide. And I would fish where that tributary went back into the main river because that's a feeding zone right there for the trout. So I had this tradition of going down there on Christmas Eve, every Christmas Eve for a while. I just did that. I don't know why, just to get away from all the stuff.
Chaos.
And this is the time of year in that area. It's in the Central Valley, the San Joaquin Valley. A lot of agriculture, orchards and vineyards everywhere. And so nobody was out at that time on Christmas Eve. And I was in the evening, heading down to the river, doing some fishing. I remember I caught a couple of fish, and I was going along, and it's starting to get dark, and the fog was rolling in. We have this fog there. It's called Thule fog. It rolls in, and it goes in the low area because we're in a river bottom there, right? So I was thinking, I'm going to throw a few more out there and see what I could do, and before I leave. And I ride down there from my house on a Honda 90 and then park it and then walk down through all the brush to get into that spot. And all of a sudden I'm fishing and I hear this huge splash in the river. And it sounded like somebody threw a 50-pound slab of concrete 15 feet from me in the water. And I did a double take and I looked around and I thought, okay, somebody's pranking me, they're kids or something. And I look around waiting to hear laughter or something and nothing, quiet. And then I thought, what could that have been? Was it a beaver splashing? No, they're way quieter than that. That had to be, I know water. I was in swimming and water polo my whole youth, and I'm in water a lot. I know what water sounds like. It had to be a big boulder or rock or slab that was thrown in there by something. I didn't know what. I started getting a creepy feeling, and I packed up my stuff and I headed back up. But all around that area, that tributary where it meets the main river, there was a lot of growth, a lot of vegetation. There were big oak trees. They're called valley oak. Some of them are like 4 feet in diameter. And in between all that, like on that island, was all this vegetation of mulberry trees. There was bamboo down there. And it was really thick, like a jungle. And so I'm thinking something had to throw a big boulder or rock from that island over to where I was and close to where I was, because on the other side of the river, it's like 50 yards. They couldn't have thrown anything that big, that far. Even throwing it from the island, a human couldn't have thrown that heavy thing that far to where it hit the water, to me. And so in my mind, here I've got this like question in my mind, what was that? And I never ever thought, I didn't even know what Sasquatch was back then. I'd probably seen a couple things about it, but I didn't really care about it or know about it. So it never entered my mind. And so then I'll fast forward 40 years, okay? So I'm sitting there at my desk at home looking at something on my computer, and a pop-up comes up. And this guy comes on. I click on it, and this guy comes on, and he's sitting on a horse trailer with a stocking cap, holding his phone, reading something, and there's horses right next to him. And he's talking about these dudes fishing near a river, and these big hairy things were throwing boulders in the water right where they were fishing. And as soon as I heard that guy was you, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
That's your video. That's the first time I saw your video.
Oh, shit.
And I thought, that moment, the little puzzle piece just went right into place. That's what it could have been for me, So I'm the kind of guy that I want to know I want to know what it is, I'm curious about it. Now I need to know. Okay. So one event started my curiosity on this topic. And so, and it sounds similar to maybe you or a lot of people, right? One event, right? That starts things. So,
especially seeing one.
What's that? Oh, yeah.
Especially seeing one, right?
Oh, that's way crazy. That'd be hard to not talk about if you saw the thing, So, well, wait till I tell you about some stuff lately, though. I'll get to that later. But so this, I never had thought twice about Sasquatch before all that. But as soon as I heard that from your video, I started watching your videos, start doing a little delving. And I thought, man, I need to find out about what this thing is, just because I'm curious now. I don't like to not know. I'm curious about it. So, anyway, that was part of the journey, the beginning of my journey into this thing. And the research I've done since then isn't for any organization. It's just me, it's just a curious little guy, all for my own self. And my first dive into this topic led me to some information which I never would imagine would be true, because here I haven't heard anything about any of these behaviors or anything that you guys all know about, like rock throwing, stick throwing, pine cones, pebbles, that kind of thing was just the behavior that I was kind of after at first to see what
Hmm.
that's about. And believe it or not, I went online and I started looking up some stuff, and I found a whole bunch of encounters of people that had rock throwing behaviors on them, and a lot of them around water. And the first place I looked was around where I lived. Like, I wanted to know, is this happening around here somewhere? So I found,
Everything's happening in Utah.
oh yeah, there's more here. There's a lot, and I'll get into that. The last couple of days, I've got some really interesting stuff I just found out. So, um, but back in California, I found out that that river where I was fishing, where that happened to me. So about 30 miles upstream of that river, the river kind of S curves all through the valley, the flat area, and then it goes up into the foothills. A place called Avocado Lake, where I did a lot of fishing before as a youth, and there's a lot of citrus up there, avocado trees and citrus groves growing around there because it's temperate and they grow good up there. And so I find this video online where a citrus grower was interviewed by this guy that I've communicated with since, and he talked to this farmer who's a citrus. He had a lemon grove up there, and he was driving his pickup through this lemon grove right 30 miles above where I had my little thing, my encounter. And he was driving on a dirt road between some pastures in his land there, and he saw 5 of these animals, these creatures, running across the road through this pasture. One of them, the biggest one, was holding a full-grown hog on its shoulder, and it was running across this pasture, and it tripped on an irrigation pipe, and the hog went flying, and he fell down, and
Wow.
the creature picked the hog back up and put it back on his shoulder, and they all ran into the scrub oak.
No way.
That's the
Holy
guy's
shit.
testimony. Yeah, that's the guy who saw that. It's a testimony on video that I saw, and I thought, okay, so this is December when I had it happen to me. Maybe these creatures walk down the riverbed, all down into the valley, and scrounge for food and stuff. And I can think the only thing that they could have been looking for down there, because it's off season for fruit, could be fish, or there's a lot of freshwater clams there in the sand, and they maybe were getting those right where that little tributary was coming out. I don't know, and I was in his way, maybe. That's just a speculation for me. I don't know. This is a big question to me still. So anyway, so when the easiest thing, is to find all these like people that have seen uh, the creature or written about it or talked about it in videos. And all this is considered basically anecdotal evidence to the scientists. They'll say to you, "Oh yeah, that's fake science. It's not real." But what's ironic about it is, in a court of law, anecdotal evidence is totally strong. I don't know how you call it, like strong evidence for a jury. It's like very true evidence that they could use in a court of law to determine guilt or non-guilt.
Hmm.
Whereas in science, anecdotal evidence, they say no, you can't use that in science because you can't use a scientific method on that. You can't test it. It's just what somebody said.
Yeah.
So here, that was my main way to find out about these things. And with you, the same thing. I have your book. You have all these like 200 different people with their encounters and stuff. And when you think about it realistically, are those people all lying? Are they all delusional? Are they just doing it to get attention or what? I don't think so, you know?
Well, one big question I could just slip in there quick is why have we been conditioned to somehow only second guess this topic and all those witnesses? I don't get it. You know what I
I
mean?
know. Who started that? Yeah. Where did that begin? Like this is a topic that's got to be suppressed somehow. And that's
Very
the known MO for anything Sasquatch. It's got to be,
it
oh no, that
it
you saw a
is
bear. You saw
it's
a bear.
very, very, very important that the human population does not get confirmation on this topic to somebody. It's very important.
Right. So with me, I went to college and I did research in college for in an undergraduate situation, and it was agricultural stuff that I did, like crops and stuff. But I learned the scientific method. And the scientific method is, first of all the science begins with a question. You ask a question like, "What's happening here?" So that's what I did with this topic, right? So I thought, okay, the scientific method, the way it works is you ask a question and then you do background research and you use any and all evidence you could find on that topic. It doesn't matter. To me, anecdotal evidence is part of that, right? These scientists don't think you can't do that. You can't use anecdotal evidence. That's not part of the discovery. So then you create a hypothesis of, okay, what do I think it is? What do I think is happening, you know? And you make an educated guess of what you think it is. And then once you've done that, you test your hypothesis and you do like experiments to see if that prediction that you made is supported. And then once you do that and you're pretty sure of what you think it is after doing all that, you could do that for years and not come to a conclusion. That's where I'm at. I'm still doing the evidence, trying to figure it out. But once you do, then you make a conclusion and you see if your experiment that you've done, all that comes true and that you can draw that conclusion. And then the very last thing that these scientists do is they do a report and they present it to their peers and they publish it. And so that's another big problem with scientists with this topic to me is that their science and their reporting and their publishing of their papers is peer reviewed. Their peers have to review that, and they don't want anything bad said about what they did. And if it's this topic, do you think anybody's going to be positive about that?
Yeah.
I think that's the problem, one of the main problems. So for me, anecdotal evidence is, to me, if you get the right stuff from the right people and it's verified, it's as powerful as anything. So that's kind of what I'm going for right now until we have basically a body laying there on the table. We won't know until we do, you know, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, I've been thinking about ways I could find out more, and one of the ways is to talk. Just because of my curiosity in this topic, the word kind of gets out from my family. Like my wife will say stuff to coworkers, my daughters, they'll say stuff to their friends. And pretty soon I'll get these reports back from them saying, oh, so-and-so just said they saw one over here. And I go, really? Tell me about it, you know? So I'll go after it. And so it's not just like he said, she said, by his uncle whose cousin said this and their neighbor said this. It wasn't like all these different messages told back finally to the final guy that you hear. It's like the person that I could actually talk to and know for sure. So you'll be interested to know that yesterday and today I talked to two of these people that one my wife knows, one my youngest daughter is a nurse and she was working in the hospital and one of the nurses with her said, oh, I saw one of those things. And Janelle, my daughter, she goes, tell me about it. My dad would love to hear about that. So I got her number the other day and I called her today. Okay, this is the lady that's the coworker of my daughter. I won't say her name or where she lives, but I'll tell you what she told me. And I actually wrote notes down, which I'll get right here so I don't miss anything. So if you know Utah Valley in Utah, that's where the biggest metropolitan area is. There's Provo. You heard of that? Orem, those towns. So the Provo River comes out of Provo Canyon. And on Provo River, there's a trail. It's a bike trail. If you live here in this valley, everyone knows this bike trail. It goes from, what's it called? The falls, Bridaldale Falls down to Vivian Park. It's a bike trail with a dotted line in it. You could ride bikes on it or walk on it alongside the Provo River, right? So this coworker of my daughter, Janelle, she told me, yeah, I had an encounter there. I'll tell you about it. She's totally happy to tell me about it. And to me, I don't know, this is more evidence than almost seeing one myself, because this lady's totally honest about what she saw to me. And she said this, she goes, I was walking with my daughter on the trail. We're holding hands walking. The river was really full and fast. It was a time like in the spring when the runoff's really high. And something was standing in the middle of the river. This is the Provo River where I've fished before a lot, and a lot of people do. And this is late evening, she said. She said that thing was standing mid-thigh area, and it was bending down, like doing something in the river. And they looked at it, and I wrote down here, it was hunched over. They thought it was maybe fishing. And she said to her daughter, don't run. They started walking back to their car. But as soon as they did that, they heard it walking on the edge of the river between the trail and the river. There's a bunch of trees and brush and bushes and stuff. And it was walking. It's the story we all hear. That it was pacing them out of the area.
Bastard.
And this is an evening. And so she said, well, I picked up this rock. And her daughter said, what are you picking that little rock up for? What's that going to do? She said, they didn't have anything else. And all of a sudden, a bike riding club was coming by, and they were making a lot of noise. And as soon as that club was riding by with their bikes, her daughter said, oh, good, there's people. And the thing started, it quit walking alongside them. They didn't hear it anymore after that. So I started asking some more questions about it. And I asked her, so what color was it? And she goes, it was reddish brown. It was huge. And I go, okay, how tall? She goes, I'm not good at like heights and stuff. And I go, okay, so in your house, the door is 7 feet tall, right? So how big was it compared to the door? She goes, oh, it was at least 9 feet tall. That's what she said. So after that, they said the face had a rugged looking face. It didn't have a lot of hair on his face. It had a dark brown face, but it was really curious. They thought because it followed them, for a little while. And the next thing that happened, she goes, oh yeah, one more thing. She goes, we were kind of scared to go back there for quite a long time. We didn't go on that trail until one day I decided to go on it in the middle of the day with my dog. And she went on it with her dog and was walking, and all of a sudden, a huge boulder came flying into the water right next to her.
No.
Yeah. And I go, really? That's exactly what happened to me, So this is a behavior of these things, throwing rocks.
Yeah.
So the dog stopped and everything, and she said, and there's another side to this world that we don't know about, and she believes that, and I believe that too. So that was just one person from my daughter, right, that came forward to me. Yeah. The other one I'll tell you is my wife. She works at an urgent care clinic, and she has a coworker there. I won't say her name, and she has a couple of parents that live up in Payson, Utah. If you've heard of that place, it's just south of us, about 20 minutes, and they live high up on the hill in the canyon, Payson Canyon, and they were coming down one night in their car on this road that was right above this Indian school that's there. It's called Pete Neat Academy, and they were looking out, and they saw this creature run out from behind a house, and they said it ran really. I wrote some notes down on that too. Let me see if I could find it. Here we go. This is in the early 90s. They were coming down Payson Canyon at 11:30 or 12 at night. They came to the town where the road winds off to Elk Ridge, and a 6.5 to 7 foot tall reddish brown figure came out from behind a house. They said it was not bulky, but it was very fast. By the way, I didn't say about that river thing with that first lady, that they said it turned to look at them, and it turned from the waist to look at them, not from the neck, which was interesting. Forgot to tell you that. So this one in Payson Canyon, it had reddish hair about 6 inches long, and it quickly darted between two houses, and said they were surprised how quick it was for its size, and how agile and how quick it was, and how fast it ran. So that was in the early 90s, just 20 minutes down from where I live. And these are the kind of things that I hear about people that I didn't like pursue them to drag out information. They just came out of the woodwork and said this stuff. That they're not afraid to talk about it, to somebody that already kind of knows about it. So I think that's what the deal was. If there's any others, those were two really close connections to my family of people that had seen these things right around here. But the other thing that I found, and I don't have a lot of credence in videos because most of them you could take it or leave it, but there are videos all within a half hour of where I live, starting from, let's see, which canyon was it? In Heber, the city of Heber, there's a video of one walking up the mountain in the snow. There's a place called the Alpine Loop, which is the American Fork Canyon, right above my house, 10 minutes. You drive up and you're on this beautiful drive through these aspens. It's called the Alpine Loop. a guy has a video of a creature walking through the trees there, brown hair, take it or leave it type thing.
Yeah.
There's another couple others. There's one in Provo Canyon, the same place where the woman with her daughter saw that thing in the river and a rock was thrown. There's a video of a couple people walking in Provo Canyon by a park with a little fence, and you see this creature walk behind this oak brush and kind of hunching down, hiding behind it, and picking up a rock and throwing it at those people. And you can see the rock flying through the air and his arms swinging when he throws it and all
I've
that.
seen that. That was in Utah too.
That's in Utah. That's right in Provo Canyon, right
Yeah,
here.
what do you think it is about Provo Canyon? Why is there so much weird shit going on there?
I don't know. I don't know. There's lots of water. There's good river coming through. Little tributaries coming into that river. There's game all over. There's deer, elk. There's turkeys up there. There's food. I don't know why it's a hotbed for those, but Provo Canyon, yeah, definitely.
Sounds like there's a lot of people there.
There's what?
A lot of people there.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that are in the canyon, mostly fly fishermen, fishing a lot because it's a blue ribbon trout fishery.
All right.
And
what about bright lights in the sky, lights in the timber? Hear about that, or you see that?
nope, I haven't. I have one friend who did see a ball, like they call it an orb, I guess. I don't know. He was driving in Wyoming, he said, and it wasn't Utah, but he said he was going down the road at night, and this ball came right up to his side of his car and followed him. He was going 50 miles an hour, just followed him for quite a ways. I think that's the correct story that he told me. So he really believes a lot of this stuff too because of that. The last thing is in these little videos that come out. One was in Payson Canyon where the guys saw the couple saw that skinny Sasquatch running between the houses that in the early 90s. That same place, Payson. There's a video of a guy doing a geological survey, and he's videoing this creek bed, and he's going through, and you see the creature running from tree to tree behind up in the hills right above the creek bed. You could take it or leave it. To me, everyone could say, yeah, those are all doctored videos or whatever. You know what? I don't really care. To me, I'm gathering information. If it's good, it's good. If it's not, it's not. We haven't come to the final step of the scientific method yet where we made a conclusion. We're just gathering information.
Yeah.
So take it or leave it. And if you don't like it, prove that it's wrong. To me, that's the way I look at it.
Yeah. So have you seen one yet?
Have I seen one? No, I have not. Haven't seen one. The closest thing I've seen are videos that I think are true, that are real. And one is the one you put out of the heat signature, the heat video. You know what I'm talking about? The one from the helicopter?
Oh, yeah.
Where the guy didn't give you permission to release it until he said.
Yeah.
I looked at that, and that looks really legit to me. I don't know about you. It looks pretty good. There aren't a lot. I don't have a lot of credence in the videos. To me, it's more like the eyewitnesses that I have to go by right now. So, which brings me to the last thing was the file that you couldn't open that I sent you. So that was, I called it, I printed it out. It's over here. It's called A Visit to Painted Rock on the Tule River Indian Reservation in Tulare County, California. So there's a town called Porterville. I don't know if you heard of that, but it's in the eastern side of the valley up against the Sierra foothills. And in my digging around to learn about these creatures, I found that there's these pictographs on these rocks in Tulare County. Have you heard of those?
I've heard of pictographs, but not these particular ones.
So these pictographs, it's called the Hairy Man. And it's a pictograph of a Sasquatch family that Native Americans put on the rock, right? And this is over 1,000 years old in this cave on the Tule Indian Reservation. So I'll tell you a little story how it came to be. So I knew I wanted to go see that, in person, because my brother lives right close to there, and we went on a family reunion trip over there to see them, and I spent some time with him thinking, let's go check that out, while I'm down there. So my brother and I decided to go down there, and I called and got permission. I tried a bunch of times to get to find out if you could go do a tour of that place or not. And they never would return my call. So finally, one last try while I was at my brother's house, I called and they answered the phone and they said, "Oh yeah, let me check with the tribal council, see if we could allow that." And so they said, "I'll call you back in 5 minutes." And the person called me back and said, "Yeah, we could give you a tour of that, but you have to be accompanied with a tribal council member and you cannot take photos." And I go, "Okay, what time?" They go, 1 o'clock. I go, "We'll be there." So we took off with plenty of time to get there to find it. And we drove up through the foothills and we found this reservation and went to the office and met with those people. And we talked a little bit about why we were there. And these are these Yokut Native Americans, the Yokut tribe. Yokut is the tribe, which we learned about in school back then and all, because that's where we're from. Anyway, they said, "Yeah, we could take you up there and look at that." So they go, "Follow me." One of the tribal council guys got in his pickup and we followed him up this dirt road to this spot where the Tule River's running down through there. And we went out and walked out onto the big granite slabs on the side of the river. And he was talking about their customs and their traditions, about how they fast for 4 days sometimes, and they do sweat lodges, and it brings them closer to their ancestors. And he said that sometimes they feel that their ancestors are right there on the mountain with them, and they come down and are among them and stuff. It's a real spiritual, sacred thing for them. So we didn't realize it at the time, but we were standing about 50 feet from this cave. And it's not really a cave. It's more like a shelter, a rock shelter,
Yep.
with solid granite walls of big rocks that are just sitting there with a big granite slab on top, like a roof almost. It's flat. And inside this thing, there's these pictographs of Native American art, of things that are drawn on the rock that are 1,000 years old. And what it is, it's a Bigfoot family. There's a male and a female and a juvenile Bigfoot drawn on the rocks with long hair coming down. They're really big. And it shows all kinds of animals around them, with like beavers, foxes, coyotes, centipedes, lizards, bear, and little designs like little like twirlies and stuff, and triangles that they draw like they did in those days.
Right.
And they were while we were talking, another tribal member, a tribal council member, drove into the area and walked down into the little shelter with us and started talking to us. And we were asking questions. And I got up the nerve to ask. I go, "So is the big man with us still today?" And they go, "Oh yeah, yeah." And I go, "They told me some things that I can't say, but I'll tell you cryptically that."
Sure.
I am 100% sure that those things are up there today. And they told me things that tell me that that's the case. And I just promised that it's a sacred thing to them. They think that creature, they call it Mayuk Nono, is the name for their tongue. And it's a protector. And I go, "Well, is it around here sometimes?" They go, "Oh yeah, we know it's around here all the time." And I go, "How do you know it's around there?" And they go, "Well, it has a stink," is what they said. That's a quote. "It has a stink." And I go, "What does it smell like?" And they go, "It smells like a cross between a skunk and rotten meat." Does that sound familiar?
Hmm.
And I go, and they go, "Everything gets really quiet. The insects are quiet, the birds, the bugs, animals, it gets really quiet, and then we smell that. And we know they're around." And they say they protect us, and they're our brothers in the mountains. They take care of the predators that are harmful to us, like the wolves and the bears and the cats, the mountain lions, they said. But they teach their kids to not go out at night, because if they can't find any game to eat, they'll take you and eat you. And they said that they eat every bit of you, including your bones. They eat everything. They tell that to the kids in their tribe as like stories, So we got all done and we drove back out, and one of those tribal council members stopped at this place and showed us this plant that they use to heal it, like tea. Like at the time it was COVID, and they make a tea from the leaves of this one plant. And I said, "Well, we'd like to see what that is." And so he stopped and got out of his truck, and he he gave a little offering of tobacco to the earth, and then he picked the leaves and he gave us some. And we went back to their office and just talked a little more and thanked them. And they brought out a book and gave it to me. It's sitting right here in my office. It's called. I hold it up to you guys now. We got video. If you can see this, you see that?
Oh, that's familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's called Bigfoot and Other Stories.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they teach this to their kids, to the
Good.
native kids,
Perfect.
and yeah, it's really good. And we we were really happy, and we thanked them and everything for letting us come, and they were very kind to us and thoughtful and giving us a book. They gave us some reservation coffee mugs and stuff. And then on our way back down, we went by this road that turned off to their casino. You know, they also have a casino. And we thought, let's go in that casino, just check it out. So my brother and I walked in the front entrance of that. And lo and behold, there's this carving of a Sasquatch like 12 feet tall right in the entrance of the casino.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys that's part of their heritage and their family. I mean, it's a culture that revolves around that almost. And so I did a little more research on this after thinking how Native Americans and First Nations people in North America revere the Sasquatch, or the big hairy man. And I got this list. I got it right here. It's in this report that I sent you that you couldn't open. And in the report, I found a list of 85 different Native American and First Nations tribes in North America, and the name that they have for Sasquatch. 85. They're all
85
different
different
names. Different names. They're all different names. They're like, I'll just name a couple. There's Choctaw, Cree, Salish, Wenatchee, Puyallup. You've probably heard some of Lakota, Dakota. All these, there's 85 of them, and they're all different names, and they all have customs about these things. And I'm thinking, what better group of people would know about these things than them? It would have to be them. They'd know more about them. And so, to me, that was telling. Really, 85 different tribes. They all just made this up, that they have a big guy that they know about. You know.
Oh, yeah. So are you still looking? Are you still after some sort of confirmation or something for yourself?
No, after all this research I've done. Oh, by the way, I have a picture here in this report that I'll hold up to you. Let's see, how do I do this? Can you see that? That's the cave.
Oh, I remember that.
I don't know if
Yeah, you
anybody
sent
could.
those to me.
Did you see it actually?
Yeah, yeah.
That's the
I
painting in
remember
the
seeing
cave.
that. Yeah.
Part of it. That's the Sasquatch on the wall.
Right.
So because of me doing all this research and talking to all these people that have seen it and all this evidence, I believe they exist for sure. Yeah, I do. I'm just continually looking for more evidence. That's all, you know.
So
And I think
if you had 3 questions and that's all you get, 3 questions, what would you ask?
about this topic,
Hmm.
where do they come from? What are they doing here? And why is the government hiding it? Those are 3 that are pretty important.
Those would be some good answers.
Yeah. So
Hold on. What's going on here? How was your studio session? Why would you ask me that? It's still going.
yeah, I saw it blink off for a second. So yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much my journey so far with this topic, and I haven't seen one. I believe that they exist because of all the evidence. It's so compelling so far, and all the people that have seen them that I know. Um, but I just hope my small contribution of this evidence that I've done over the last 5 years, because that was in 2020 when that rock hit the water, and then no, that
Yeah.
was 2020 when I started. Yeah, when I saw your video.
Oh, yeah.
When I saw your video, it was 2020. So that's been 5 years that I've been doing so and so research on the side, whatever,
Right.
what I can. And I just hope that will help somebody that's just as curious as me. I hope, you know.
Yeah, every single word spoken is help, big time. Every single email, every single experience counts. You know, it's almost like how do you explain it? I don't know if you're into horses or not, but any time spent with a horse is good time, no matter if it's a repeat or what you're doing, it's all good. You know what I mean? It
Yep.
all goes for the better. So
Yeah.
yeah. But I always think with the rock throwing in the water, if you could picture like knowing myself, my asshole friends growing up, with the it's such a common thing to throw big boulders in the water beside people. It's almost like if you could imagine it, they're with their buddy going, oh, watch this. I've been waiting for one of these episodes all week. This is gonna be great. Then they chuck a
Yeah.
ball, then they chuck a boulder, right? That's one possibility. Because of all the things that these people have and can and have done to scare the shit out of us,
Hmm.
throwing a simple boulder in the water seems to me more entertainment than anything because if they wanted to scare the shit out of you, they're going to do something else a little more extreme, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like screaming at you.
Screaming. I've heard two different times in my life. I heard screams before I knew what Sasquatch was.
Really? Where
I
at?
heard. I heard one of them was in. I did a hike with one of my high school buddies when I was a junior in high school in the summer. We went up to the John Muir Trail, the John Muir Wilderness in the Sierras, and we were at camp. It was like 10,800 feet. We laid out our camp. We were about to hit the sleeping bags, and we heard this blood curdling scream come off this granite cliff that's way up above us. And we looked at each other like, what was that, you know? And at the
Really?
time, I didn't know anything about Sasquatch screaming at all. And I just thought it was a cougar. I thought it was a mountain lion. But
Really?
because that's all could think that it was, you know? Now, knowing what I know, I would probably think a little different. Maybe it could have been something else, or maybe not. It could have been a mountain lion. I don't know. That was one. The other was bow hunting for elk in Utah, in this one place down south that we were walking out. We were doing some still hunting through this really heavy timber, and we came up to the end of the bowl, and it was like a bedding ground for elk, and we could just smell it like a corral. It just smelled strong. Had just been there, but they smelled this probably and ran off. So we were just walking back on this logging road and talking and stuff because we weren't trying to be quiet. And we heard another really loud scream from up on the hill above us, a really loud, blood-curdling scream.
Ugh.
But we just thought it was a mountain lion because I didn't know any better back then. And maybe it was a mountain lion. I don't know.
Did you
Those are the
change
only.
plans?
Did what?
Did it make it alter your plans at all? Change
No,
your
no. It was above us, and we were walking out to the parking lot where we parked. We just
Oh, yeah.
kept walking and didn't think more of it, other than it could have been a mountain lion. So,
Mm.
but who knows? Maybe it was a mountain lion. I don't know. So I
So,
haven't screams
do,
of a mountain lion.
does the thought of bumping into one of these people alone in the woods scare you?
It does. It's just the knowledge I learned when I first started studying this topic was that I would never go in the woods unarmed or with somebody, without somebody, I should say, just
Yeah, yeah.
because of people disappearing. I've seen Politis's map of the missing people of
Mm-hmm.
the United States. Have you seen that?
Yep.
And then the another map of the Sasquatch sightings in America, and you put them side by side, and they correspond really closely. And I
Yeah.
thought, is that a thing or is it just coincidence? So
Uh,
I don't know. I've been fishing in Alaska, fly fishing, and I had a guide take me one day, and then we got done, and he liked me, so he said, "I'm fishing tomorrow by myself. If you want to come with me," and I go, "Yeah, I'll come with you." So we hiked down into this really steep gorge on this river. It's called Willow Creek, and there's a lot of big salmon coming up, and there's rainbows in there following the salmon. We're after the rainbows because they eat the eggs that are spawning. The salmon are spawning off, and he goes, "You mind if I smoke this cigar?" And I go, "No, you can go ahead," because it's in grizzly country. There's grizzlies there, So he always takes a cigar with him when he's fishing, and he has a 870 strapped on his back, you know, shotgun, and I'm this like tourist nerd, and I have a 44 Magnum revolver under my waders on on my right side, and I have a bear spray on the left side, and I have bells on a little thing that I'm carrying, and we're going down into there, and we were we were thinking, we don't want a grizzly because it's really a rapid river with a lot of boulders and loud noise and curves with ferns and stuff, and you could walk around the corner and see something that doesn't know you're there really easily. So that
yep.
was one of the things he did. So I'm really reluctant and not scared, but very careful in the wilderness now with anything, and
Mm.
especially with my family. I keep my eyes on them all the time if I'm there.
So what does your family think of this topic?
My wife is slowly warming up to it that it could be true, but at first she was like, "I don't want to know." She goes, "I don't even want to know." It's too creepy and scary for her. But she's warming up to the topic. My kids, I think they're more uh, good with it. That it could be true, but they have a lot of other things they're interested in. And it's not really the biggest thing in their world. Me, just because of the rock thing, I had to know, so that's why I did all this. So,
Well, once you get that slap in the face, you can't not be interested, right? Unless it scares the shit out of you so bad you just want to tuck your head under your wing and keep it there.
and not tell anybody. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So,
funny when you talk about talking to people. Yeah, just the other day, uh, like where I keep my boat, there's three of us there. My one friend of mine owns the lodge. My buddy's right next door. There's two docks. That's where we got our boats, and there's a big turnover of fishermen every day there. Every day, every 2 days, right? It's just a big social fest, and a lot of these guys know who I am when they come down.
hmm,
And this funniest last weekend, there were some guys from Vancouver and the Whistler area, and one of the guys was a builder, one of my customers that I met like 7 or 8 years ago. Hadn't seen him for a real good guy, and he's like, "Holy cow, I knew that was you! I saw your how to hunt stickers all over the place." And
hmm.
all these guys are real successful dudes. There's about 6 or 7 of them sitting there having a beer, sun's shining. I just showed up, and then Paul was saying how he asked my friend. He says, "You know this how to hunt guy?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's his boat right there." And then he started talking about how he knew me. And
Hmm.
then I guess when I wasn't there, somebody said, "Oh yeah, he's the Sasquatch guy on YouTube, whatever." And they all laughed, right? So I
Oh,
show up, and then he goes, "What's this Sasquatch stuff?" And then you could see them, and I can't help it. It just makes me clam up. Like I don't talk about this to people. I know it's a waste of time. I for me it's a waste of time unless
yeah,
somebody approaches me with an absolute honest curiosity. Hey man, I'll talk to you. But if it's in
yeah,
a group of guys that got having a beer and it's already a joke, it's like, well, I got
yeah,
nothing to
yeah.
talk to you about. So as soon as they brought it up and everybody kind of laughed, and I didn't change the look on my face, and I kind of looked at everybody and went,
Like
"What?"
if you only knew.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah,
didn't. Well, I took him aside, and he goes, "Are you serious?" And I go, "Hey, man, here's the deal." And then I took him through what happened to me, took him through what happened to my grandfather. But I find that with all those guys or anybody, when I do say face to face, there isn't a man big enough here to laugh me into changing my story. Just so you uppers know, and
yeah,
every face goes instantly serious when I do that. And then you
yeah.
know you got their attention or you're not. But I don't need their attention. I don't need them to know about it. But I need the people that know to talk to me. you know?
Exactly, and that's the ones you want to find and talk to. It's like the saying, "You don't cast your pearls before swine." You're not going to throw it out to every duck that quacks. You're just going to
Yeah, yeah.
keep it to yourself. And those that are curious and interested, they're the ones that need to
Yeah, so that's
get
why
to.
at this stage of the game, when people come on, even when people come online or in the comments section and terrorize the people that are in there chatting with each other and want to challenge them, and I try to encourage people, look, you got to not engage them, kick them to the curb, and if or when they do catch up, the door is wide open. They can come and catch up anytime with the rest of us. But if you stop and engage these people who are questioning, oh, this is the usual shit they say, it just stops you dead in the mud, and it's a waste of time. You just gotta kick it to the curb, keep going, find your people, find those people that are aware and freaking knowledgeable and brave and honest is huge, which I love. That's like you're here, and keep going forward. You know what I mean? But it's
Yeah,
like all the TV shows, all the organizations, all the horse shit of saying the exact same shit for years. Well, nothing could have done this. Well, look at the stride. Well, look at the dermal ridges. Okay,
yeah,
okay, we got it. We've checked it off 10,000 times. Move forward. Get
yeah.
past it. You know?
What's funny to me is the scientific types. The science guys, the biologists. They'll say, "Oh no, that doesn't exist." That's like a definite statement. It doesn't exist. To me, they've bypassed the scientific method by doing investigation, research, evidence. They haven't done any of that. They just skipped all that and went right down to the conclusion, like, "Oh no, it doesn't exist."
Well,
To me, that's a shallow science background when they talk
well,
like that.
the majority of them are they're so deeply into the system. It's not even funny, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they went through with the repeat after me, take your test, repeat after me, have the best frickin' memory you can, and there's your PhD. Off you go. It's like one time I had an egomaniac biologist come on here and blowing a gasket, insulting and calling me shitbag and all this stuff. And once you get as far ahead as I'd like to think the majority of the people here are, you gotta admit by now, it doesn't matter the credentials you have beside your name. It don't matter.
Well, most of those credentials people are specialized in one very specific topic, and that's it. They don't have a broad understanding of the animal kingdom or the world. That's just like how the effect of this fruit fly on this plant, and they spend their whole doctorate on that one thing, and they
Wow.
don't really know a lot of the other stuff. So, to me, anecdotal evidence is fine for me, and I'm good with it. If people can understand that and believe that and like to hear that as one of the ways to get evidence, then it'll take a while for the scientists to catch on to that and accept it. But that's just the way it is.
I've got zero concern for any scientific. Nothing.
Yeah.
I got nothing for them. Nothing. For me, they have followed, they've gone on the program they were set out to be taken on, and they went through with it to the end. And it's like down the tunnel. You know what I mean?
Right.
I can't even. I've had a long day. You know what? I was slinging hay all day out in the field in the
Oh.
sun, and then I planed about, I don't know, 80 boards before I just came in. So my brain's not firing as fast as it should be. Oh, side note, get this one. Complete side note for a second. We're slinging hay, and I look over, and I'm like, what the hell's that? A parrot? I look over. Here's a white raven.
Really?
Yeah, I've
That's
got him on
rare.
video. I put him on the YouTube channel. Videotape
Wow.
him. A
Okay.
white raven. Crazy.
Wow. Is that some kind of sign?
If it is, I hope it's a good one.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So what
cool.
about the telepathy thing? Have you looked into that much? What do you think about that?
The what thing?
Telepathy. Mind.
Telepathy. Oh, yeah. So there's a whole paranormal aspect to these things that I've learned about. I don't know what to think of all that, really. I do know that there's something to it that we don't know about. So scientists are pretty good at describing things and categorizing things, but when it comes to new and different behaviors and things like that, they don't ever want to comment on that, and because it's beyond their realm of knowledge. So it's mostly all this anecdotal stuff of people telling you that they saw this or that or heard this or that or felt this or that, or the thing disappeared or it cloaked or my brother had the experience. My brother lives in California still. He has it's a cabin up on the top of it's near Shaver Lake, California, if you know where that is. But he has like a 50-acre piece up there. And in the wintertime, he was riding around in his tractor thing, whatever, and they saw these tracks in the snow. And I asked him about them, and it baffled him because they walked along. They started out of nowhere. They just started in the snow, and they looked all around where they started, where they came from. There was no place they could have come from. He said the tracks were 18 inches long, 10 inches wide, wider at the toes than at the heel, and the trackway steps were bigger than a human could make. And they walked up for 50, I think he said 50 feet, either 50 feet or 50 yards, up to this embankment where there's a bush, and it stopped right there. And they went up above the bush and around and went all around and couldn't see where that thing went after that. So, like, it just dropped in and walked 50 yards and then disappeared.
So what's up with that, right? Now,
What's up with that?
what more do you need than that to make you really start looking in a different direction? It's like, okay, this thing ain't
Exactly.
swinging from branches eating bananas all day long, is it?
Yeah. So there's things that we can't answer with science. We don't know. We can't describe them with chemistry and physics or anything that we know on the earth. So with these creatures, there's a lot of stuff like that that's talked about. That's why I say I'm in the middle of this discovery thing. I haven't learned everything. I'm just kind of adding up the stuff I
Sure.
can and
Yeah.
trying to piece some puzzles together. And I believe that totally that they exist. Totally, I'm sure. They do. I haven't seen one with my eyes.
Well, it's great that you're doing it for yourself and you're not just repeating what somebody who is a bit of a lens whore wants you to repeat from what
Right.
they, you know what I mean, or what they're dictating to you to repeat and jump on that bandwagon, or else, whatever.
Right.
But
Yep.
what about have you ever heard of or looked into or what are your thoughts on people who claim to be in communication with these people?
Mm, I've heard and read accounts of people that do that, that leave out food for them and then they communicate with them. I I don't give a lot of credence to that really right now. Uh, if they do, I could see how Native Americans, maybe the tribes, maybe could have done that more because they're more pure, I think, back then. And I know that they had, like, they brought in wolves and raised them as pets and stuff and were loyal to the wolves. But nowadays, I don't know. I have a hard time believing that.
Hmm.
That's where I'm at. How about you?
Well, it's like I've had in the past, uh, as an example, my stance on everything. When somebody started, I mean, I seen one of these people watching me. I had a bunch of experiences leading up to it. Obviously, I know what I saw. My grandfather confirmed it for me because I trust him. I trust him with my life.
Hmm.
He's your grandfather. But anyway, so I had confirmation on that, and then all of a sudden, and I started talking about it, and I started looking into it, and then people started bringing up the dog man thing the odd time, and that would make me go, "Oh God, not this one again." Right?
Hmm.
That was my attitude. But then I had to kick myself in the mouth, so to speak, and the side of the head and go, "Look, stupid. You've got thousands of eyewitnesses from around the globe reporting a dog man being. You better get your head out of the ass or you're not going to go past go."
Same
That,
old thing. It's like, are 1,000 people lying? Are they all making up stories for fun? They
yeah.
delusional?
So,
Or what's the odds of that, you know?
yeah. So on that note, I mean, I don't know how many people have come through me. I've over 30,000 now. I've got in the inboxes all together. So, but I can't only apply that rule to one topic, the dogman thing. I can't. Otherwise it'd be an
Hmm.
F, right? So
Right.
if I've got I don't know how many different eyewitnesses showing and telling exactly what they did in communication with one of these people around the globe, not connected in any way, well, how can I tell them no, you're not doing that?
Right. Well, when you said communicating with them, I was thinking like talking in conversation back and forth to them.
Yeah,
I totally believe that you could go in and feel a a feeling like dread, or like they always talk about. You feel this really scary feeling like you need to get out of there fast.
sure.
I think that's a real thing with
Oh
these
yeah,
creatures because there's
100%.
so many people have said that, so many people, and I don't think they're just listening to each other and repeating each other's story. I think it's what's happening, and a lot of these people that are telling the story, they're almost breaking down, crying. Some of them, like it's hard
Yeah.
for them to talk about it. But as far as
Right.
communicating, talking like back and forth, I have a little bit harder time with that one, I guess.
Yeah. Another thing for me as I've been maturing and learning and changing myself, um, is I've been fortunate to have to rely on all my senses a lot more than your average person for many years, and
Oh
thank
yeah.
thank God for that. But on that note, I am convinced at this stage of the game, I am convinced that we do know a lot of frickin' answers inside of us already for a lot of things. So on that note, when somebody's telling me something, sharing something with me, I know if they're legitimate or not. I already know.
Mm.
So do you. It's in
Oh
your
yeah.
gut, sixth sense. It's in your intuition. It's in the energy. You know if they're legitimate. And on that note, I have talked to a few different people that have allegedly full-on telepathy communicate with his people, and I believe them.
Maybe
Absolutely,
so. Yeah. Maybe
not
there's some
question.
special people that have those gifts that others don't. And
Yeah,
that could be true. You
yeah.
know, you're
But then
you're probably pretty lucky if you can find some of those people.
on that note, 100% of all the people I have been taking note of who you communicate with these people have all said, well, you can't really trust them 100% what they tell you.
It's true.
And I take that note too. It's like, okay, note taken. And then I put that little note on my shelf back here, and then something comes up that makes it go, "Bink." Yeah, add that to that shelf. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, on that note, we have Bobby Shorts, one of her best friends and publisher, one of our very dear friends of ours. She just sent me a package in the mail today, and I
Hmm.
haven't gone through it, but she sent me a 3 or 4 papers from someone she trusts with her life, who she says has been very fluidly in communication with these people, and there's a lot shared on paper, and I got it.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't
Wow.
dug into it yet, but I'm going to. Obviously, I don't know when I should be able to share the next couple few days, but if it's passed down to me from this lady, it's gold.
If they're closer to you, like the closer these friends are and family people are to you, the better on this anecdotal evidence to me. And that it sounds like one of them, and you'll know. It's like adding it onto your evidence file there. Just keep adding it up and like sift out what's true and what's not. It's
Yeah.
all it's all we can do.
So would you go get dropped off in a bush plane or helicopter in the absolute middle of nowhere to go ask him for some answers?
If I was with somebody else, yeah, that I trusted. You mean by myself? Just
Yeah. Sleeping bag,
uh,
tent.
so so my business is we're weapons guys right here. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'd bring a lot of firepower with me if I did, and I would be very careful. And but I could probably do that. Yeah, I've done that my whole life without knowing about them. You know, I never
Yeah.
had any troubles, but now that I know, it's like, man, I'd be more careful now. You know, by yourself, you do that all the time, don't you? Walk up into these deep, dark woods and
Oh yeah.
uh,
Yeah, I've done a lot of people think some crazy shit, but it's just like whatever. For me, I always kind of half chuckle because probably 8 out of 10 people say, "Well, I wouldn't go by myself," but I'm at the point where, well, what's another person gonna do? If I go with
that's true.
somebody.
Back up, like I've been, elk hunting, deer hunting, and I usually go with somebody on that, two of us. But we always split up and go. I'm going that way. You go this way. We'll meet up here later. So you're out there alone all the time, you know. And I used to do that all the time without a second thought. And
Yeah, yeah,
now, now I'm just more careful. That's all. I would.
yeah.
I'm. I don't do a lot of that big game stuff anymore. I'm mostly fly fishing, and so I'm usually on a lake, not a river. I'm on a lake, and there's not a lot of threats out on a lake, really. We do it at night, though. We fish all night, usually.
That's funny. I've heard that. I've had a lot of people write in about fishing at night, and I've never done it. I don't think. I don't know.
Yeah.
I understand. Like, how do you fish? You freshwater fishing, okay, in a river at nighttime?
Trout. Trout.
How are
I,
you
fa-
fishing?
I found out the best, what we found out is you got to find the right lake, first of all, where the fish are big fish, big trout. And we found some of those lakes, and we go to those lakes every year, a couple times a year. And what you do is you go out when the sun starts to set, when all the fishermen are coming in, you're going out. And we have these inflatables, and we go out there and we fish these streamers that are probably like that long, 3 or 4 inches long, and they're weighted different weights with cones on the heads, and we tie those ourselves, and they have a rattle inside of it. I'm tied onto the hook. You know what a rattle is? It's a little glass
Yeah.
tube with balls in it. We
Mhm.
tie that on the hook shank, and then we tie legs onto the streamer with bead chain, metal bead chain. They're little dangly legs that rattle together, so they
Really?
make a lot of noise. So these fish at night, the big ones come out and feed at night in the shallows to eat bay fish, and they could sense sonic vibrations in water up to 40 feet away. And
Wow.
so you're throwing that out, and you're making all this noise with that thing, and they home in on it, and they eat it. And we
Crazy.
catch,
So, do you guys do it when it's overcast, or you wait till it's clear? Does it matter?
doesn't matter. Full moon though, we go when it's a full moon. I don't care what they say. Some people say, no, don't fish when it's a full moon. Well, that's for the day fishermen because the fish are feeding at night under the
Yeah.
full moon, and they don't eat during the day. But at
Yeah.
nighttime, the moon it just enhances their vision a little bit so they can see better. So we catch really big trout at night doing that.
How big?
So
What's a big trout?
what's that?
What's a big trout?
What's the biggest trout
No, what's a big one? Like, what's a big
for
trout?
us? It's 25 inches or so is big.
So that's what, 10 pounds?
It's like 7 to 8 pounds. Yeah. We're
Cool.
trying for we've caught a few 10-pounders there, but there are fish that are 30 inches long in those places. I
Nice.
I'm actually I'm an artist, and I have a website, an art studio. I didn't even tell you about, uh, and on that website I have all the fly tying instructions on how to tie these night streamers. If
Oh,
you're
cool.
interested, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Have you ever,
So
did you, that river you mentioned, California, did you have steelhead in there?
the San Joaquin River, I believe, does have, but I've never fished for steelhead. I've never been to where they
What?
are to fish for them.
No.
I need to do that.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That's a big time must if you're a freshwater angler. Oh yeah, you have to.
it's a big rainbow trout, basically, right?
Yeah, sea run rainbow trout. They go up in the river, spawn, and repair themselves and take off. They're freaking tough fish and they're tough to get. So it's like, you fish all day long, take 1,000 casts, and then when you get that hit, it's like 12 volts through your spine. It's wicked.
That's fun. That's a
Yeah.
challenge. It's usually during the colder time of year too, right?
Yeah, well, there's summer run, winter run, autumn run. Like there's a river I've shared some video on here a few times. There's a river we go by to get to where my boat is, and the rivers are real low and dry right now and crystal clear. And I swear I'm gonna set up a trail camera on some of those low water passages to see if I
Ah,
can catch these guys coming up. Because all of a sudden one day, they should be showing up mid-July, I think. And all of a sudden, there's 24 steelhead laying there in this pool, and there's hardly any water to get there from the ocean.
really?
Yeah,
So
I
what?
keep tabs on starting now. There's nothing in there right now, and I can guarantee you there's going to be at least, I'll bet you there's 25, 30 steelhead are going to be in that pool by the end of this month.
Do they survive, or
Oh
does it
yeah.
dry? Does it dry up?
No, well,
Does,
no, it's about a 10-foot deep pool.
oh, okay.
And then the rain's coming on, and the salmon start coming up. Salmon mingle with them. I got it all in video, underwater video too. But it just blows me away. It's like, where are you bastards coming from? And you
Wow.
can throw the tackle box at them. They're not gonna bite.
Oh, wow.
But
Huh.
one time, I got to share a funny story. One time I went there, and I hiked. It was in the wintertime. And I was hunting. I was steelhead fishing this particular river, and I went down river. And as I was going down, these two kids, like rarely today do you see actual young boys fishing anymore, really. And here's these two kids, teenagers. Well, one kid looked like he was probably 14 or something, 15. The other one looked like he could have been 11,
Hmm.
right? So cool to see. And they're coming up. We start talking, and it's like their mother. This is a logging road. It's up a logging road. Their mother dropped them off. So perfect, like old school. I'm like, right on.
Yeah.
Dropped them off,
Like,
and the youngest kid had this ball hats all curled up like this. He's got these
yep.
buck teeth, red hair, and freckles all over. And he's just looking. They're dead serious. And I go, you guys see those steelhead in that pool in the summertime? They're like, yep. And then the little redhead kid's looking at me like this, looking up at me. Show him the pictures. Oh my God. And he's dead. Show him the pictures. And then the older kid, he was allowed to have the cell phone. He pulled a cell phone. He started showing me pictures, these two little shits, with that late summer run steelhead. They went in there and I go, no shit, you got him. He goes, what'd you get him on? Beads. Just like that. Like, it's almost like talk some, I don't know, it was like an old Western or something. We caught him on beads. He only was a little midget with red hair that big, right? That was
Wow.
awesome. Yeah,
Huh.
they got him.
Wow.
And I go, so how'd you guys get here? Mom dropped us off.
That's
How you getting out here? Well, we go up the road a bit. We're going to text her. She'll come and get us.
that's a good mom.
Right?
I
Yeah,
had
it
a
was
mom like that. She dropped us off. Me and my friend in high school. We went up to let's see, it was above Pine Flat Dam on the Upper Kings River. She dropped us off in a pouring rainstorm with our backpacks to walk up the trail.
yes.
You know. Another
Yeah.
time, we built a raft and we floated down the Kings River for 3 days on a raft, living off whatever we had with us. They just let us do that stuff back then. Nowadays, you don't see that much.
Hey, you got those, isn't it the Henry Mountains in Utah?
Yeah, the Henry Mountains. There's bison in those mountains. Yeah.
You seen those mule deer there?
Yeah. Oh, I have all kinds of friends that hunt the big deer, and it's the Book Cliffs or the Henry Mountains that they like to go to in Utah.
Oh my God, those mule deer there, absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's got to be all draw, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It's really hard nowadays to get a draw of what you want because there's so many people that are applying for these tags and stuff. So I haven't done it forever. The times I did it, you could get in bow hunting, you could get a doe or a buck, either one per tag. Now it's hard to draw. Friends here in the shop drew and didn't get anything. You know, that happens now. I guess.
The guys in your shop, they know about the Sasquatch topic you talked
Oh
about?
yeah, yep. They've changed their habits in the mountains because of me.
Really? Any
Yeah.
of you seen them? Had any experiences?
No, none of them here have. I can't think of any others. If I knew of any others, I probably would have told you about them, but I don't. Not that I know of, you know. So, but every day another one pops up. It seems like around here, these mountains definitely have families living up in here. So it's just a matter of time when somebody sees one.
That Provo Canyon, excuse me, is there I haven't even looked at it on the map. Is it like how much timber and how much public land like is around there? Is it dead center in the middle of a big chunk of land, or are there houses around it?
There's a few homes here and there in little parts of it. Vivian Park is where I told you that trail goes to, and then it comes back down to. No, not Vivian Park. Yeah, Vivian Park. I guess there's a little community of homes up in there, cabins, but there's not a lot of cabins on the place. And the river is in the bottom of a gorge, kind of a canyon, with big pines on the sides of it. You know, on one side, on the north side, and on the south side, it's more grassy with trees. But it's a beautiful canyon. River's really good trout fishing. It's fished a lot. It's a little bit too much for me, really. Too many people. I don't enjoy catching a trout that's been caught 116 times, and I'd rather go where there's other, a lake somewhere where you could get unlimited like sized fish and stuff. But
that's one thing about the States. You guys have got 10 times the amount of people as us.
Yeah,
and we got more land mass. Like we're lucky here, man. Like, I'll go out and buy this year I could shoot a whitetail, a blacktail, a mule deer, an elk, a moose, and a ram.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you probably do most of that too, don't you?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So you have a couple of freezers probably.
3.
Oh yeah, I guessed it. Yeah, for sure.
No, we raise chickens and turkeys too for meat too. So we got one of those freezers for them, and we got the fish, and then all our game meat, and then we do groceries too, and feed the kids around here.
All right.
Right. Yeah.
All right. I heard that. Yeah. So what about fish? Are they allowed in British Columbia to have a whole bunch of salmon, or is there limits to that? Like in Alaska, when I went there, each family could have 35 salmon a year or something like that. If you live in Alaska.
We can have 10 Chinook salmon each a year.
10. Oh.
I don't even know how many coho because I don't really target them, but I think you're allowed a lot more silver salmon, coho salmon. But yeah, 10. And you know what? I just took home a 28-pounder and a 28. And I think the other one is around 20 or something. I brought those home. I got them on that live video the other day, and I brought them home, and we dealt with it yesterday. That's a pile of fish, just 2 of those suckers.
Yeah, that's huge. So you probably don't buy beef hardly ever, right?
Never, yeah.
Because you have so much game and fish that it's way healthier anyway.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. I always wonder about my own senses, all of my natural given senses. It's like, because I've drank so much of my water, it just comes out of the ground from being in the mountains for 3 months straight, 4 months straight, 265 days a year for I don't know how many years, and eating nothing but game meat, fish and game, and your own meat. I wonder what that has done to my natural health.
Oh yeah.
My natural mental health, or my natural skills that I'm slowly, hopefully, getting back in tune with. I wonder.
I bet it's really good. I bet it's really healthy to eat like that.
Yeah. I'm just wondering exactly what the impact is on our minds and our skills. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just being a drone led by the nose. Repeat after me. no matter what. Who
Right.
knows? More topics, more rabbit holes, right?
Yeah. Well, we could go down a whole big rabbit hole with the government. With everything we've been taught since we're little kids is like, I just learned to question everything and do your own research on everything, you know?
Well, that's why I'm excited to talk to you. You're obviously doing it for yourself, which is like, I'm like, oh, thank God. Another one. Another person thinking for themselves, looking for the
Yeah.
answer for themselves, and not just being an echo of somebody who is a lens whore telling you what's up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what I love. Everybody just get your own wheels turning. It's your own puzzle. Take from others people's puzzle what they offer up or leave it. It's too easy, and then there's no conflict. And then you just keep smashing forward, right?
I hope that someday the puzzle gets almost put together. Maybe we will now someday. Maybe not. Maybe we'll go to our grave and pass it on to somebody else to finish.
I got a funny feeling that the puzzle is in our face. It's just there's so many, and we have been duped, intentionally duped since childhood, 100%. In my mind, I don't dictate to anybody, but for me, I am 100% convinced I have been lied to and misled in the wrong direction since the first time I went to public school.
Yep.
That's just me, from what I've learned to date. So
All of history.
yeah,
Like,
so it sucks because I think the answers are right there in front of our face. It's just we got to go through this quagmire of bullshit to narrow it down. And meanwhile, we want to enjoy life at the same time, and it's time consuming. You know what
yeah.
I mean? But
Right.
as long as
Exactly. Like the people that know, the controllers, I call them. Back to the time of Napoleon, he said, "History is just a group of lies agreed upon."
it
And
is,
usually, it's the winner of the war that writes the history. You know, the way they want it to be.
yeah, the
So,
dirty,
and
filthy
that's what we're
sons of
taught.
bitches.
That's what we're taught in school. So that's what we think is true. Most people, but I always question, and I think it's good to question and do your own research.
Have to.
So,
But anyway, I just got the text. I gotta go.
yeah, well, it's
Dinner
great
time.
talking to you. We hope that that in some little way helps some people that are as curious as I am, and maybe it'll save them some time.
Yeah. One quick question: Was that nurse and her daughter? Were they in? Did they feel terror? Were they terrorized?
Yeah, they did.
All right.
She said that her daughter grabbed her hand really hard and said, "Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. Let's run. Let's run." And she said, "No, don't run. Just walk." And she was really, really, really scared when she saw that 9 foot thing in the water, and then it was walking along the river with them as they were walking out. Um, she said it was up to its thigh in the deepest part of the river, and
Yeah.
that's a pretty deep river, and that thing was really huge.
Well,
They
make sure you
said, and
send, if you can, send her a link to this video once it
I
goes up.
will. I told her I would, and she's
Sure.
really happy to do that.
Okay, good.
She's totally a knower about it. She knows.
Sure, that'll be good. Okay, Paul, I gotta go eat.
Okay, Steve, thank you. Good
Good
talking.
meeting you, man. Thanks for coming out, eh?
All right, take
All
care.
right, we'll talk again later.
Okay, bye.